Hey, how you doing? Eric Cates
I'm
today.
good.
Brad Grimes.
I think I'm smelling some gas in my yard out here.
All right, and what area are you smelling at?
Over here in this area, the meter's on that side over there.
Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna check the meter, make sure there's not a leak there.
Okay.
And then we'll locate the line out and put down a couple holes just to check on the ground to make sure you don't have a leak. We'll check each corner of your house. If you could, just stay on the porch.
Okay.
If you think you have a gas leak, we're on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Call us at 478-277-5048.
All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, out to West Lawrence High School. We're here with head football coach Kagan McLean and Coach McLean. What a great season for West Lawrence Raider football.
Yeah, really proud of our guys. I know it didn't really end the way we wanted it to, obviously, with the quarterfinal loss to Blessed Trinity. But, you know, our guys had a great season. They worked hard this offseason. They earned everything that they got this year, you know, set several records individually and as a team. And you know, coming off last year where we went 5-5 and missed the playoffs, a huge turnaround for our guys. So I'm really proud of them, proud of our community, proud of everything that surrounds West Lawrence. It was a fun year, an exciting year. Again, wish we could have played a few more games, but really proud of these guys overall.
Yeah. Now, Coach, you went into the season, you felt good about it. You had a lot of talent. You felt like you practiced well. Of course, in the scheme of things, you know, running against a scout team, you know when you look good and you know when you should be good. But, I mean, looking back at that very first game, Coach, did you think it would turn out as well as it did?
You know, honestly, I can't, you know, lie about it. I honestly didn't. You know, we graduated 16 seniors off the 2018 team that missed the playoffs. I knew we had a pretty good junior class coming back, some talented guys in there, but we had a lot of question marks coming into the season. Question marks on the offensive line, at running back, on the defensive line in the secondary. We just weren't sure with some of those guys what we were really going to get. And you kind of go in and you practice all summer and you hammer the weight room and, you know, you play your spring game and you play your fall scrimmages and you do all the padded camps and things in the summer and you kind of try to get an idea. But you never really know till you put those pads on in the fall and get out there. So I thought we had potential to be a pretty good team, but also thought we had potential to be very, very average. And those kids really stepped up and made some plays and did some things and turned out to have a really, really great year.
Coach, it is all about teamwork when you play in a team sport. It is if you're in any kind of competition, it's about teamwork. It takes that, the team being well coached. You know, you got to have good coaches. Let's talk about the coaches first. Now, what an outstanding job you did on defense this year, your entire team of coaches.
Yeah, we had a really good coach. We're blessed to have good coaches on both sides of the football. You know, our defensive staff did a great job. Had statistically one of the best defenses we've had in history. Yeah. I think we ended up giving up 9 points a game on defense, just over 100 points total for the season. Our final rushing stats were we gave up 600 yards rushing on the year, and that's in 13 games. About 50 yards a game is what we gave up rushing, and like 102 yards passing, so about 150 total yards was our average for the year. So our kids did a great job on the defensive side of the football. Our coaches did a great job. You know, Whitney Alligood, coaching our linebackers on the inside, did an outstanding job. He's also our special teams coordinator. You know, Coach Rod Waits and Eddie Floyd coach our outside linebackers. They did a great job. I coached the secondary, and I'm the defensive coordinator. But overall, we had a great staff. You know, Coach Dwayne Gibson does our D-line, did a phenomenal job with those guys this year, as you could tell by their play. But overall, great group of guys, great staff, and really a good year for the defense.
Yeah. Talking about the defensive line, I mean, you had those three guys coming in at the start of the year. Now, you had them strong, Coach. There's no doubt about it. You worked that weight room. We talked about it many times. But in Lindo Jones and Dacus on that front, undersized a lot of times, but wow, the way they got off the ball and went to it.
Yeah, we were really small on the D-line. You know, Spencer Dacus was our largest D-lineman at about 245, 250 pounds, and he's only about 5'10", 250, you know, so he's not a real big kid. You know, Lindo weighs in about 225, and T.J. Jones about the same, 230, 235, somewhere in there. But we weren't very big on the D-line, but we had some scrappy kids who were very coachable, who would fight, who were strong, who'd really worked hard in the weight room. They'd paid the price, and they made the investment in there in order to be good on Friday nights. So yeah, the way they came out and they played hard and they played physical, and they did some good things for us all year. Being undersized was just a fun thing to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. And you look at them, and when you start calling the name of the tackler, and a lot of times over the PA and what have you, top man's going to get the, or maybe the second man. When they're coming off the bottom of the pile, Coach, I mean, there's Jones coming off the bottom, there's Lindo, there's Dacus, right. Coming off the bottom of the pile, they're in there, they're mixing it up. Right. The offensive line's going to be laying over them. They're going to have a hand on the leg of the dude who's carrying the ball. I mean, they're just so strong in that middle. They played that gap so well. They were a force to be reckoned with. I'm really proud of all three of them with sacks and tackles, and Lindo, to me, just excelled.
Right, yeah, he had a great year. He was our leading sack guy on the defensive line this year. I think he had 12 sacks on the season. Yeah. And you had Spencer Dacus with 17 tackles for losses in there. And then T.J. Jones, who never really played any D-line, we threw him in that fire just because we needed another D-lineman, and we knew he could get it done. And every week he just got better and better and better, and was a force to be reckoned with as well. But really proud of all three of those guys.
Yeah. And if we talk about the outside linebackers, you pretty much went with Lewis and Bonner.
Right. Yeah, Lewis and Bonner, two seniors that got most of the reps. Javen Ash, a sophomore, got in there a good bit and got some reps, some quality reps. But, yeah, Dre Bonner, another kid that wrestles, really tough kid. Xavier Lewis, a basketball track kid also, plays multiple sports. Those guys stepped in and did a great job really containing out there, being athletic in the passing game, and being physical against the runs. When you got athletic overhangs like that in an odd front defense, it makes a big difference. And those guys had a great year, and we're really proud of them, for sure.
Coach, and positioning them out there, they were able many times to make a play when it was one-on-one, when they had a blocker on them and, the running back. They were able to fight off that block. That's a difficult thing to do, Coach, and it takes those reps. Right. To get them to that point, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it takes just a heart and a desire to be physical. We say all the time, there's some things you can't coach. You can't coach speed, and you can't coach toughness. Yeah. You can try and influence guys to be tougher, and you can work on them to be faster. Yeah. But for the most part, if you're fast, you're fast, and if you're tough, you're tough. And you got to have some. We were fortunate to have two guys out there that could run and that were tough, that would take on blocks and could play out in space as well.
Guts isn't something everybody has, is it, Coach? Right. All right, so then you look on the inside. Now, you talk about a man. We'll talk about De'Eric Jackson and Royal. Right. Royals is the inside linebacker.
Yeah, De'Eric, of course, our big D1 commit going to Kentucky. He'll be leaving in January. He's going to graduate early and head on up there and be ready to go. Obviously was kind of the anchor in the middle of our defense there. Had another great year, was our leading tackler with 92 tackles this year, plus a ton of assists to make that total go up as well. But he's a guy that's very physical. He's a 250-pound inside linebacker, and he gets downhill, blows up offensive linemen, blows up fullbacks, just a force in the middle. And Devontae Royals is more of our quick linebacker in there. We use him more in coverage and blitzing and things like that. But he did a great job on that weak side. And you also saw Jacob Olsey, an underclassman, get in there and get some reps. He'll be ready to step in next year and take one of those roles as a starting linebacker as well.
Yeah. All right, let's move it on out to the secondary on your corners, Coach.
Yeah, we had Shante Burney and Jaquil Edmond got most of our reps out there at corner. Shante's a senior, Jaquil's a junior. Did a great job for us. We had some big question marks in the secondary this year, and those two guys really stepped up. Shante was a very dependable cover guy out there. So was Jaquil, being his first full year starting out there on Friday nights. Did a great job for us. They had their busts like you're going to have in the secondary when you play a 13-game season. Yeah. But overall, I thought they were really, really solid. We didn't give up very many passing touchdowns on the year, so I thought they did an outstanding job out there. And then our safeties, of course, Daniel Dorsey and Andrew Green did a great job for us, both seniors. Daniel played safety, played running back, did a lot of things for us, returned kicks, had a great year, led the team in interceptions with 6, I believe. And then Andrew Green, first-year starter as a senior, stepped in and really improved every week as we went on through the year and had a great year as well for us. Yeah.
So, Coach, I'm thinking Green, Edmond, and who else you have coming back?
Well, Green's a senior. He's out. So on defense, we'll return Jaquil Edmond at corner. We'll return T.J. Jones on the D-line. And at linebacker, we'll return Holsey and Ash, who got some reps. So as far as starters, we graduate 9, but we'll bring back 4 guys with some Friday night experience. So we'll have some off-season work to do. And so I don't want to say rebuilding, just some building up to do with some of those young guys. And we'll see a definitely younger version of the West Lawrence defense in 2020. But those kids are good kids that work hard. They'll be ready to go.
Yeah, Coach, people are awed by the fact that you have sophomores and juniors that are outstanding athletes that are still waiting on the opportunity to get onto the field at West Lawrence. So that speaks a lot.
Yeah, well, when you build some depth and you build a program, that's the way it should be. You know, they should develop their 9th and 10th grade years, start to see that field their 11th and 12th grade years. You know, if you're having to go out there and throw a bunch of 9th and 10th graders on the field, usually that's a recipe for disaster. You're going to struggle no matter where you are. But you try to build that depth, you try to build that program so you got that waiting list and you can have the next man step up when guys graduate.
All right, so we looked at the defense. I want to take a short break and come back and talk about the offensive side of the ball and more with Coach Kagan McLean. So you stay with us.
Jeff Shepard here at Roach Farm and Garden. Deer season is here. Come to see us at Roach Farm and Garden. We got all your deer hunt necessities. We carry 5-way, 3-way, Harvest Advantage, iron clay peas, wheats and oats, daikon radishes, a bruiser rye, and big boss rye, buck forage and annual rye. We will make your food plots look right. We have all your supplies of deer feed, 17 and 24% protein, QDM and 4S. We even carry 4S draw in the blocking bags. And when you get that deer, we've got something to cook him with, from grills to griddles to your deep fryers. You want clothes? We got a full line of Georgia boot, Rocky boot, and all the Carhartt that you could need. And for your pelletized grill, we have any flavor you need. We have ladder stands by Millennium and Amerstep, replacement seats, protein blocks, salt blocks, and attractants, and a full line of coolers. And don't forget to pick your supply up of Voodoo while you're in there. It's at the counter. Don't forget, everything you need for deer season is right here at Roach Farm and Garden. 2 locations, Wrightsville and Dublin.
When you think of your insurance needs, think Yates Insurance and Real Estate. The Yates family has been meeting the insurance needs of Georgia residents for more than 50 years. At Yates Insurance, we provide insurance for logging, log haulers, logging equipment, chippers, and sawmills, including portable sawmills. Yates Insurance can assist you in your personal and commercial insurance too. Mandy Smith, Allison Clark, or any of Yates' friendly and knowledgeable staff will make sure that you're covered for everything. When you think of your insurance needs, think Yates Insurance and Real Estate. For more than 50 years, your satisfaction has been our #1 priority. Yates Insurance and Real Estate, located at 2030 Veterans Boulevard across from Dublin Mall. Call 272-1525, 272-1525 for Yates Insurance and Real Estate.
Imagine a life-changing injury. Imagine the fear and unknown. The Houston Clinic Sports Medicine Team, the only physicians in the area with advanced certification in orthopedic sports medicine, treats sports injuries with innovative techniques. The Houston Clinic has helped nearly 1 million athletes live without pain. Imagine getting back in the game. Imagine the best game of your life. The Houston Clinic Sports Medicine Team.
Bruce Birch and the staff at Dublin Windwater Works is proud to offer Waterworks products by the best brands in the industry. If you're looking for quality products and top-notch service, give us a call today at 272-2026. Our experts know your industry and can answer any of your questions. Windwater Works, 509 Airport Road, Dublin.
Hi, I'm Matt Sapp, inviting you to come see us at Dexter Meat Company. Our fresh cut meats includes cube steak, stew beef, chuck roast, chuck eye steak, ground beef, ground chuck, and if you love steaks, you'll really love our New York strip, T-bone, and our ribeye and choice or prime cuts. And our marinated steaks have a distinctive taste that you'll be sure to love. We invite all our neighbors to come see us for the freshest cut of meat. Remember, we cater to. Call ahead and we'll have it fixed for you. Monday through Friday, 10 to 7, Saturday 8 to 6.
All right, back with you, and again, just proud of the season, Coach, proud of the teamwork and the effort of these young men and coaches alike. I was shocked so many times of how well executed things went, because you can beat them, as they say on paper. It's not always about the X's and O's, but the Jimmies and Joes, and,
right,
and you had a few more Jimmies and Joes this year to work with, thank the Lord.
Right.
But when we go over on the offensive side of the ball, let's talk about offensive coordination. Let's talk about going into the season and what you thought it would be like.
Yeah, well, you know, we knew we had some guys that would be able to give us some weapons on that side of the ball with A.J. Mathis at quarterback. You know, Coach Respert and his staff did a great job over there getting guys in the right spot. You know, Coach Edwards coaching Stephen Edwards coaches our receivers out there, did an outstanding job with those guys. Von Merkerson coaches our running backs, did a great job with what he had back there. And then Tyler Rogers moved over and coached the O-line and did a great job as well, getting those guys to gel. Had a lot of new faces on that crew, and did a great job with them. But we knew going in, the offense would be built around A.J. and what he could do. You know, we knew he had some pretty good receivers in Brent Carr and Tyler Franks and Bradley Wilson out there. Running back was a question mark. We knew we had Christian Coven coming back, who was going to be solid. But other than that, we were a little up in the air. But then you saw Daniel Dorsey and Shante Burney step in from the defensive side and really be great running backs for us as well. And overall, great year offensively. We averaged 33 points a game, just under 400 yards total offense per game. So those guys did a great job. You know, A.J. and Brent set several records that we can talk about here in a minute, school records. But statistically, an outstanding offensive year. Our coaches did a great job with what they had, put us in great position, and gave us a chance to win pretty much every Friday night.
Yeah, what a balanced attack. How many times do you see pretty much equal numbers with passing and rushing yards?
Yeah, we were right there around 200 yards passing, 200 yards rushing pretty much every game as far as our average goes. And it's important to be balanced because, you know, we had some good players. You talk about Jimmys and Joes, but we didn't have a bunch of dominant players. You know, we don't have 16 guys going D1 off this team. We just don't have that. But we got a bunch of great kids that work well together, that know what their capabilities are, what their limitations are, and are willing to step into that role and get the job done.
Yeah, and so many teams, you don't have to look forward to, with successful teams, to say they got the running back this number, they got the running back this dude. And with West Orange, you had three guys every game rotate.
That's right. We didn't have a 1,000-yard rusher this year, but we had 3 kids that totaled almost 2,000 yards rushing. So, you know, I mean, it's all about whether you got one guy getting 1,500 yards or 3 guys getting 1,800 yards. It's all about the rushing yards, and those 3 definitely did a great job for us.
Yeah, it's all about getting in the end zone, and you scored a lot of points this year.
Yeah, it was great. Offense, I said, averaging 33 points a game, scored over 400 points on the year. And, of course, all that starts, you know, with the offensive line. Those kids up front, you know, they got to open up those holes. They got to protect the quarterback. They did a great job this year. A lot of new starters on the offensive line this year. Some of them seniors who had never started over there. One of them never played offensive line until this year. We just threw him in the fire, and he did a great job. So we had some great kids up there that did some work for us.
Yeah, let's talk about that line.
Yeah, sure. You know, at right tackle, we had Deontay Holloway. He's a junior. He'll be back. Did a great job for us on the edge. That right tackle is very important. Both those tackles are. At left tackle, we had James Jardon, who was a senior. He'll be graduating. But those guys did a good job protecting A.J. and opening up holes on that outside rush as well. Inside, Spencer Fields, probably the anchor of that offensive line. A senior, very smart kid, very tough kid. Not a very big kid, but a kid that'll get after it in there. Did a great job for us at center. At right guard, you had Charles Knight, who never played offensive line until this year. Very undersized kid. You know, he's getting in there at like 210 pounds and 5'9", you know, but he's just scrappy and getting after it and doing all the things that we ask him to do. At the left guard, we had a couple guys rotate. You had Brandon Washburn, a senior, who did a great job for us as well. And you had a sophomore, Terry Tobler, who stepped in and did a good job. So we got a couple linemen coming back and some young guys that are going to fill in those empty slots. And we think we got a good group that we'll be able to work with next year as well.
Yeah, again, Coach, to be coachable for a young man to just want to be tough, it's that desire, again, is to have the guts to get out there and do it. That goes a long way, and that's what you needed on that offensive line, it seems to me like. Let's recognize who coaches the offensive line.
Yeah, Coach Rogers, Tyler Rogers, he's our O-line coach. He coached defensive line my first 2 years here. We moved him over to offensive line this year. That's where his comfort zone is, and when we thought we needed to go ahead and make that swap and get him over there, and he did a great job, of course, as you can see, with those guys.
Yeah, and you think about that, and when kids see success, when you back up linemen, when the younger kids start to see that success of the offensive line and buying on how to block, because there's a technique to it. There's a way to get in there and get a hold hold of something and stay close, you know, and be successful, then that's going to continue to grow for your offensive line, we trust, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at it, a lot of it is, like you said, it's coaching, it's toughness. When you look at our offensive line, you know, we only had one kid over 300 pounds on our offensive line. I mean, we were not a big offensive line. We were extremely undersized. But those kids had fight. They were willing to get in that trenches and do work, and they were willing to be coached. And I thought we did a great job. Our staff did, especially on that offensive side, of getting the most out of those kids.
Yeah, and just to say, Coach, if you want to get on the field and you want to become part of the team at West Lawrence, any team, you want to become that person who wants to work the hardest, and that paid off for those young men who got on the field and be able to be that offensive line, and we trust there's some more coming along in a real and fast way. But then you get outside and you talk about your receivers.
Yeah, you know, Brent Carr obviously had an outstanding year. He had 84 catches on the year, broke several records, which we'll talk about here in a minute when I get the paperwork together. Yeah. But you know, he obviously was a big weapon for us. Forced a lot of double coverages out there, which opened up Tyler Franks and Bradley Wilson to make a lot of catching. You know, Brent led us in receptions, but when you look at touchdowns, Tyler and Bradley had more of those because Brent was constantly being double covered out there, and those guys were able to find some windows and some seams and make some big catches. But luckily, 2 of those 3 will be back next year, so we do have some guys we can throw the ball to. You know, Brent's going to graduate, but Tyler and Bradley will be back, and both of those guys will be huge parts of our offense, huge weapons next year as well.
Mm-hmm. We talked about the rotation in the backfield, but let's really expand on that a little bit, Coach.
Yeah, you had Christian Coven, who was really our main tailback back there, but you had those defensive guys, Daniel Dorsey and Shante Burney, that rotated over. Daniel was our leading rusher with a little over 800 yards rushing, and then you had Christian Coven right there with him, like 700-plus yards rushing, and then Shante was right there behind him as well. So all 3 of them together had an outstanding year, 2,000 yards rushing for those guys, over 2,000 yards rushing as a team, and having a 3-headed monster back there really helped us have fresh legs back there late in the games.
Yeah. And paid off because you had Burney and Dorsey, you know, on defense. So you had to try to keep your legs fresh.
I mean, that's high school football, you know, especially, you know, I would love to have such deep depth of talent and numbers that we can all just two-platoon, but we just can't do that here. If we want to win games, some of those cats got to play both ways, and they got to toughen up, and they did a great job for us doing that.
Yeah, you always look for that in a young man. And then we got to talk a little bit about special teams, Coach. I mean, you had some kids that flew down the field that covered so well.
Oh, yeah, you know, Christian Coven's a prime example. He's a kickoff team. He was always down around the tackles. Caden Snell, a sophomore, in on a lot of tackles. Jacob Holsey, a junior, in on a lot of tackles. You know, especially a lot of times where you have those younger guys, they really start to get their first taste of Friday night and get that experience and show us what they can do. And it's a great preparation for them to get ready to step on the field next year. And then, of course, you got Cam Coop, a senior kicker, did a great job for us, was 53 out of 57 in extra points this year, 7 of 10 on field goals, averaged over 33 yards a punt, so did a good job for us back there as well. And then one of those overlooked guys is the long snapper. You know, there's a lot of pressure on that long snapper. You got one job, and you do it wrong, it can change a game. Yeah. And we had Gunnar Jeffers, a sophomore, back there, who was our long snapper, and it was also our backup quarterback. A lot of, you know, he and Bradley Wilson both in that backup quarterback role, but he did a great job for us as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and Coach, you look at that, you look at the toughness of that special teams unit, those younger kids. They go down there and they stick their head in there. They're hustling down. They read the field well. They don't get out of their lanes, but they make plays. They make tackles. They wreak havoc. That's a good way to get on the field, isn't it?
Absolutely. A great way to get noticed for sure out there.
Yeah. All right, we'll take another short break and be back. We'll talk about some specific stats that in the season are capped it all off for the Raiders, so stay tuned.
Real people steal people. They want real power, real options, real value. Right now, get real savings on chainsaws, blowers, hedges, string trimmers, and more. The #1 selling brand of handheld outdoor power equipment in America. This fall, get a real solution. Get a Stihl from Midstate Tractor and Equipment, 1325 North Jefferson in Dublin.
Dublin Marine and Yamaha Motorsports has been a part of this community since 1973. Drop by today and see David Brown and his staff at Dublin Marine. Exceptional customer service, great prices, and quality products. You can always depend on Dublin Marine, 1321 North Jefferson Street, Dublin.
Quality products and installations since 1985. That's Four Seasons.
All right, back with you again here at West Lawrence High School, and Coach, it's kind of bittersweet to be here today. I got to tell you, I've really enjoyed this year and be able to come out and see this team grow and see the desire that you have each and every week, the humility in which you approach the game. No matter what you think maybe in the back of your mind is probably going to happen, you're always humble about it. You don't take anything for granted, and I appreciate that. And it transposes into these young men. It takes out onto the field, you know, with the coaching staff you have. So, again, thanks for that. But we want to point out the numbers on the stats.
Yeah, I'll talk about some offensive stats first, then talk about some record breakers at the end. You know, Daniel Dorsey, like we said, was our leading rusher, just over 800 yards rushing. You know, had 99 attempts on the year, which isn't that many. You know, when you look at it, it's because we had three guys, but had 842 yards rushing, 13 touchdowns, you know, with a couple big long runs in there. Christian Coven, 82 attempts for 708 yards rushing on the year, averaged 8.4 yards a carry and 4 touchdowns for him. And then Shante Burney, 93 attempts for 624 yards and 6.4 yards a carry and 9 touchdowns for him. So those three guys together alone, you know, were over 2,000 yards, did a great job as a running back core. And you look at AJ, you know, quarterback, 161 completions and 265 attempts. That's 61% of his passes, 25 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions for 2,400 yards passing this year. It was a great season for a high school quarterback. And then receiving, you had Brent Carr with 84 catches for 1,387 yards and 9 touchdowns. Tyler Franks had 35 catches for 573 yards, and Bradley Wilson 22 catches for 307 yards and 6 touchdowns. And Tyler had 8 touchdown catches as well. So really offensively, those guys were our big guys producing the yards and the points for us, and had an outstanding year for us overall. You flip over to defense. You know, as I said earlier, Derek Jackson was our leading tackler with 92 tackles. You know, Daniel Lindo had 69 tackles, but had 12 sacks as well. You had Spencer Dacus, who had 60 tackles but had 17 tackles for loss. So all three of those guys were our big leaders on the defensive side of the football, and were a big part of us being as good as we were, you know, on defense this year. And just want to point out a couple of records. We had several guys break records this year, school records. I know we talked about a few of them. A.J. Mathis became the career leader in attempts with 800 career pass attempts, which is great, which shows that he's been on the field for 3 to 4 years. He's earned that right to be out there and get that done. He also is first overall in West Lawrence history in most completions with 161 completions. He's also first overall in West Lawrence history with most career completions with 419 in a career. So those are a couple big records as well. He's also first in touchdown passes in a season with 25 this year, and he's also first with most career touchdowns, 56 touchdown passes for his career. And then lastly for AJ, he first in most yards in a season with 2,458 net yards this year passing, and most passing yards for the career. He's number one also with 5,709 yards passing. So great season for AJ, a memorable season. Something that he will take with him the rest of his life. Also, Brent Carr broke several records. Most receptions in a game, 13 at Spalding this year. That's number one. He had the most receptions in a season, 84 total catches this year. He also set the West Lawrence record for most career receptions with 115 catches overall in his career. And he only played 2 years of varsity football, so that he had 2 monster years for us. He's second overall in West Lawrence history in most receiving yards in a game. He had 213 in the South Effingham game. Would have had over 300, but he had a couple big ones called back on penalties. But he has first overall most receiving yards in a season with 1,387 yards, and first overall with most receiving yards in a career with 2,085 overall receiving yards. So those two guys had big years for us, big record setters. Really proud of them and what they did this year.
Yeah, Coach. You know, when we look at the team that you had this year, and you look at these young men, of course, we talk about De'Eric and his commitment to Kentucky, but who else is being looked at in some way and not chosen yet?
Yeah, we got several guys that are going to have offers this recruiting cycle around. Daniel Dorsey has a couple offers. Savannah State has offered him a college scholarship to play football. LaGrange College will have some more and some bigger ones coming through after the season he had this year. Brent Carr has been offered by East Tennessee State. He's also got several other Division I schools looking at him, so I expect him to pick pick up some offers this year as well. A.J. Mathis, we'll have some schools looking at him for sure. If he wants to play football at the next level, I think he'll definitely have that opportunity in the next few months. Daniel Lindo, I think, will have the opportunity to play football at the next level. Spencer Dacus has several wrestling offers already, but I think he could get some football offers as well, so he'll have some decisions to make of what he wants to do next year with his career. But we got several guys like that. I think Shante Burney can play college football at the next level. Somehow, some way, he may have to fight and walk on because he's undersized, but he's definitely got the heart and the skill level that he could do that. And there's probably some other guys I'm leaving out, but those are the guys that are probably going to get the most recruiting attention this year out of our senior class. And I think there's several others that could probably walk on and play because of their sheer heart and their desire.
Yeah, shows well for the program. Take another short break. Be right back with the coach, so you stay tuned.
Every team has a leader, and Lawrence County's leader in hometown banking is Farmers State Bank, proudly supporting local high school football. Farmers State Bank salutes those who make our community great by working hard to make Friday night football happen. Go Irish, go Falcons, go Crusaders, go Raiders. And count on the team at Farmers State Bank, Lawrence County's leader in hometown banking. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
The holidays are a time for giving thanks. At Dublin Nissan, we're thankful every day that you trust us for the right vehicle at the right price.
Now at Dublin Nissan, drive the Sentra SR for as low as $18,835.
New or used, drive home in a new ride for the holidays.
Now at Dublin Nissan, drive the Titan SV with rebates up to $6,500.
Sales, service, and satisfaction. Call, click, or come see us. Dublin Nissan, the only dealer you will ever need.
You've got miles and miles of grass to mow. So you're going to need a machine built to perform. Day in and day out. Season after season. You're going to need a Gravely. Built to mow the distance.
Now at Myers Equipment and Supply in Dublin.
Hello, I'm John Martin, physical therapist and athletic trainer from Rehab Advantage of Sports Medicine. I'd like to take this opportunity to invite you to some of our workshops here at Rehab Advantage. We've been hosting workshops every 3 weeks, some for low back pain, shoulder pain, arthritis, and for balance and vertigo problems. And so feel free, we'd love to have you come. We'd love to share information with you about these injuries and how you can get well naturally from these things. And we'd just love to tell you more about it right here at Rehab Advantage. We usually have them hosted at 6 p.m. on Thursday evenings. That does change sometimes, so be sure to look at our website or give us a call 478-275-1800.
All right, back with you, and Coach. You know, you look at going forward. If you had to go right back out on the field and start with your next class, who you putting in the backfield? Who you putting as quarterback?
Man, you know, that's a tough decision. Those are things that we're going to have to look at in the offseason. I don't know if I can make a call right now. I mean, obviously we got several options. You know, Bradley Wilson can play quarterback for us. Gunnar Jeffers can play quarterback for us. Jace Thompson, a young kid, can step in and play quarterback next year for us. So there's some options there. You know, at running back, we've got several guys. You got Lorenzo Turner coming back. You know, you've got Tyshawn Clark, another young running back. There's some other kids that maybe didn't play running back that we might look at their athletic ability and put back there like we did with Dorsey and we did with Bernie. So those are really off-season evaluations we have to make. But the good thing is we've laid a foundation this senior class, you know, winning 11 games, only the second time in West Lawrence history that's ever been done. Making the quarterfinals, I think it's only the third or fourth time in their history that's ever been done. I think the third. They won only their second outright region title in West Lawrence history, going back to like 1970. So, you know, these seniors accomplished a lot. They did a lot for this community, and they've laid a solid foundation that I think these young guys can build on as going forward. You know, we realize there's going to be we're going to be a much younger team on the field next year, so there's going to be some growing pains that we're going to have to get through. But I trust those kids. I think they'll put the work in the offseason, and they'll be ready to go.
Coach, you never know how a kid will grow. We talk about that sometimes. You never know when they hit a growth spurt. You never know when all of a sudden, man, they just manned up in the weight room. All of a sudden, they just a beast. I mean,
These are kids, and so they're in the middle of growing right now. So sometimes between that 10th and 11th or that 11th and 12th grade year, you just see a huge growth spurt. They get bigger, thicker, faster, stronger, and a lot of the guys that you don't expect who are going to be on the field suddenly surprise you. You're like, man, that kid's ready to play. But again, it's hard to make those. It's easy to make those predictions when you're talking about college or NFL because you know what you've got. When you're talking about high school, all these kids are still developing, so you never know. The offseason program is huge, and we got to see who develops and who steps up this year.
Yeah. You talk about some kids big, tall, what have you. They're walking around goofy as they can be, just trying to get coordinated, and then all of a sudden it hits, Coach. And
clicks.
That's right. You got one that'll play for you. But
that's right.
When you look at receivers, you got to feel good about Frank's coming back. And Wilson,
no doubt. You got Franks, you got Wilson, you got Colby Ramsey who got reps. He'll be back. You got Chris Boston who was on the field a little bit. He'll be back. You got another young kid, Ashad Farmer, who saw some reps late. He'll be out there catching some balls. So there's definitely some talent. You got Caleb Appleby, big, tall, tight end for us. He'll be out there, and he's a big physical kid. He's one that I'm gonna sneak over on defense next year a little bit too, and see what he can do at the defensive end position. But he's a kid that can be a weapon out there as well. So there's some potential there. We got some development to do, but there's definitely some bodies that I think can get it done.
Yeah. You had Clark. He did a good job for you.
Clark at fullback, definitely another kid that could step in and be ready to go. And then we got a couple offensive linemen returning, and we got some young kids that I think will be ready to step up next year as well.
Yeah. And then we flipped the ball over, Coach. Man, you got some tough guys on defense, but you always seem to find a good defense to put on the field. I've mentioned it many times, and people know it. You're going to have West Lawrence is going to have a good defense.
Well, I hope so. We really tried to do that. We've really tried to build our program about being physical, being strong in the weight room, playing solid, sound defense, and keeping ourselves in games. And I think we've done that. And that's a credit to those kids and how hard they work, and to our staff and what those assistant coaches do. But we've always been pretty solid over there. And I know that trend can't keep up forever, but I hope it'll keep up for a few more years. Yeah. But those kids work hard in the offseason, and we're usually able to put a pretty decent product out there. I hope we can continue that trend.
Yeah. Coach, I'm dependent on you being able to do it forever now.
We'll try to.
Yeah, we love defense, and you got the secondary. You got kids coming back in that you're going to have to replace. You got a lot of kids. How many seniors you graduate?
Oh, total?
Yes.
Total, we graduated 19 seniors.
Okay.
16 the year before, 19 this year. But most of these 19 were starters. So we graduate, if I'm figuring it up right, for the most part, it'll be 9 starters on defense graduate and 7 on offense.
Okay, Coach, you've been having a lot of region meetings, a lot of things going on lately. What's changing in the region? What's going to change for West Lawrence football next year?
Well, the region has been shaken up a little bit. There's some teams that have dropped down and some teams that have moved up. Mary Persons and Upson Lee have both been moved out of our region, so they will not be with us anymore. I think they both went down to AAA with their numbers with the new classification. We had some teams that have been added. Baldwin's been added to our region. Westside Macon's been added to our region, and Rutland's been added to our region, along with us, Perry, Howard, and Spalding. So we're a little bit different, we're a little bigger region, a little tougher to get in the playoffs now, with a bigger region. But I think that it's a region that if we work hard, we can compete in. I know there's some good football teams in Baldwin and Westside Macon coming in. So definitely those were playoff teams last year. Did a great job. So our work's cut out for us, but I think our kids will rise to the challenge.
Sure, with all the coaching, and before you know it, you'll be back in the summertime. But right now, you got to hand the gavel off. I know. I talked to Coach Hill yesterday, and he's proud to have a couple more out there on the court.
Really, really excited for all our sports at West Lawrence. I think our basketball program, Chuck Hill does a great job running that program. He gets the best out of what he has out there, and oftentimes it's not the most talented team, but he really gets the most out of those kids. And I think our basketball program is on the rise, and he's gonna have a good team this year. Wrestling's always good around here with Coach Lawhorn. Coach Hightower do a great job with that program. I think that we're definitely going to compete for a state championship this year in wrestling, as we do every year. And then you get into the spring, baseball and track are always really good for us as well. Got a solid baseball program and a very solid track program out there with Carlos Jones running that as well. And we encourage our football guys, man, you don't sit on your tail in the off season. You hammer that weight room, you go play basketball, you wrestle, you run track, you play baseball, you do something to keep yourself active and involved and representing this school and this community well.
Yeah, looking forward to continued coverage at West Lawrence. We'll have wrestling for you. I have a lot of those matches. Again, we'll have a game of the week coming up on basketball as we rotate through the the county. But again, Coach, thank you so much for this wonderful season and for what you exemplify in your life.
Yeah, and thank the Raider Nation and our community. You know, we got a great band, as everyone knows. We got great cheerleaders. They often get overlooked, but they work just as hard as anybody out there with Coach Beal and those guys. And we got a great fan support from West Lawrence. So thankful to all of those groups and all those guys who participated and we're out to encourage our guys and be part of Raider football this year. And we look for another good year next year and all those guys back ready to go.
All right, we'll see you next time right here on TV 35.
First Lawrence Bank invites you to experience banking at its best. Whether you have personal or business needs, we're a full-service bank big enough to handle all of your banking needs and small enough to provide you with that personal touch you've grown to expect from a community bank like First Lawrence Bank. Looking forward to your future? That's First Lawrence Bank in Dublin and Dexter. Member FDIC.